Jonathan David to Juventus, here we go. This is actually the best news that could happen after the elimination against Real Madrid 1-0. A news that is actually showing that the management is not sleeping and that they wanted to react immediately. What Juventus' first team yesterday on the field together with Igor Tudor was not able to do. In today's video I will speak you about Jonathan David because I was able to speak with Carlo Pizzigoni, international scout, one that understands football, so it's much more today than only stats, only transfer market or whatever site that you can use. We spoke about him, he told me the qualities and what he could potentially bring to Juventus, and then I will tell you what I am blaming, the two things that I'm really blaming to Igor Tudor, things that we saw in that Club World Cup. If you're ready, please put a maximum of like, continue to interact and subscribe to the channel. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. So we start with actually trying to be as neutral, as objective as possible, so not speaking in the beginning of the video as a Juventino, with a brain or with a heart, but trying to be objective. The tournament went as we expected, when we saw actually the draws, when we saw the groups and also the possible opponent after the groups, which means that on paper we had two easier teams that we were able to beat easily. We had a tough team that we were also taking into consideration the possibility to lose, Manchester City, and then knowing that finishing second, the probabilities to play against Real Madrid were high, and then playing against Real Madrid is always tough, so the possibilities also there to continue our journey were quite minimal, and this is what happened. Then there are stories in all these games, in the path, in the journey, much worse than we expected against the Citizens, because if you are looking at the result, 5-2, we were totally exposed defensively. It's worse than we expected in the terms of loss. Better if we are looking at the result, 1-0 against Real Madrid, if we are thinking about the days before the game against Le Merengues, because it's a 1-0 where a lot of people were predicting a 5-0 loss for Juve. Juve totally humiliated. Yesterday we can say that even if we lost and we don't accept it, we don't digest it, we are pissed off today waking up, it's actually the fact that we avoided that elimination. No, we avoided that humiliation, also thanks to a big man yesterday, that was Michele Di Gregorio. Then that 1-0 is a huge big disappointment, because when you're losing 1-0, it gives you that feeling that we could have probably do more. We could have done much more on the field, that the possibility to beat the team of Xabi Alonso were there, because it was not the best Real Madrid or ever. It's not the Real Madrid that we faced in Champions League final that we lost. Remember? Unfortunately, we all remember. It was not that Real Madrid of Cristiano Ronaldo, of whatever stars that they had back then. Look, the best that we could do, I believe that yesterday we showed it. Unfortunately, the best that we could do was only 35-40 minutes. That's the autonomy that we had. Is it new? Is it something that we discover? Absolutely not. This is what we are. If we are totally objective and honest, maybe 5, maybe 6, if we want, players that we saw yesterday are really worth of playing as starters in the Juventus that we want to be competitive. Only 5 or 6, that is not enough. At our max, we were able to have autonomy and to block Real Madrid and even to answer and having the possibility to even take the lead a few times against Real. 35-40 minutes. That's the autonomy that we had. But we knew it because, I will repeat a last time, this Juventus that we saw until yesterday was still the continuity of a Juventus 24-25 that had really difficulty, that qualified to Champions League with a lot of suffering. The one that was obliged to sack the coach in the middle of the tournament, that was obliged to change sporting director. We don't have the new one, but we have a new Damien Comoli that is there and that is already reacting. We'll speak about that in a second. Can we blame Tudor? No, we cannot blame Tudor on these things because he jumped on it, on the bandwagon, with a lot of risk to really putting dirt on his name. These are the names. Without Renato Vega, that was his starter in the middle of the defense, adding Rugani and Kostic, a bit weak if you are looking at a lot of teams that already reinforced themselves before that second, the real official transfer window. So can we blame Tudor on that one? No, especially if you're looking at the quality of the subs that we had there that were not able to impact. Really huge big disappointment on players that entered in the game, like Nico Gonzalez, like Koopman. There's unfortunately not a newness. A lot of players out of project. Dusan Vlahovic, if we want to speak about him, we can speak about Owea, Bangula. A lot of players that were absolutely out of project. Look, what I can blame on Tudor are the game against Manchester City, where he clearly, when he chose the lineup, said, we already put the white flag on. It's okay. Even if we lose, we accept it. This is not what I accept from Igor Tudor. What I didn't appreciate from Tudor yesterday was the last 60 seconds of the game, him sitting on the bench, showing a message of it is already over, understanding the moment, but the last man that I want to go and sit on the bench is Igor Tudor, even in the most moment of difficulty, even when everybody gave up, even when we had zero energies, even if it was impossible to go back to a 1-1, because in the last 30 minutes there were zero attempts, zero shots on targets from Juve, zero danger of Juve, which is also a consequence of taking off at the 60th minute Conceição, taking off Yildiz at the 70th minute. From there on, it was so easy for Real Madrid that didn't even need to care of their defensive phase. They were only thinking about ball possession and going up, putting Juve really in difficulty with a man. A special mention for Michele Di Gregorio, that has been unfairly, I think, criticized the entire season. Even if he had games with super beautiful saves, in this tournament is he the man of Juve, the MVP, the superior player of the tournament of Juve. Yes, better even than Yildiz, that has received that international fame that he totally deserves. Well, there are a few players where we can start from for season 25-26, and it is Michele Di Gregorio. Super save, one, and it was enough against Al Ain, one against Vidal, a few big saves against Manchester City, avoiding even more goals. And yesterday, if we lose only 1-0, it is also thanks to Michele Di Gregorio that yesterday should have won that man of the match that went to Valverde. Another man that I really want to do a special mention about is Rugani. Rugani, that according to me in 24-25, we could have used him. We could have made use of him. Yesterday he entered, and actually he was the best of the defense yesterday. He did really well against Mbappe or whatever player that he was playing against. Yesterday Rugani was good. Is he the starter from a Juve that we want to elevate the defense? Maybe not, but it's a player that you can really use on the left, in the middle, on the right side in a 3-man defense. He can play in a 4-man defense, left or right center back. It's a player that I would keep if we are thinking about extending Federico Gatti, which should arrive really soon, until 2030, plus an extension with 1 year of bonus. Well, we could think to keep Rugani because there is a lot of work to do there in defense. So this is what I wanted to say about the game of yesterday. I understand the change of Conceição, that was not participating against City because of an injury. He had not more than 60 minutes. The one of Yildiz, I don't understand it. Yes, some people are saying he started to have some cramps. Could he have played more? Probably yes, if we see the reaction he had when he was subbed out. The problem is that the players that are entering were absolutely not in quality of doing that. What are the two things that I'm blaming to Tudor? The first thing is that it's not the Tudor that I love, the Tudor of Marseille, the Tudor that is coming to Lazio and deciding because he's not agreeing with the president to leave. It's not the one of Verona, the one of Udinese, the one that wherever he went, he was never inclined to do some compromises. In that tournament, I saw Igor Tudor doing compromising in putting out of the team certain players that we could probably have needed yesterday, the fresh legs of Mbangula or Awea. He decided to agree with the club that probably said these players are officially on the market. We know it, it's not a secret. Don't risk them. Like Douglas Luiz, that a lot of people are asking why didn't he enter after these first 45 minutes. So the Tudor that is doing compromises, it's not the one that I love. And then I told you about the fact that he went on the bench, probably giving up in the last 60 seconds. Tudor, in a team that is missing, that is lacking leadership, should have been the one that stood up until the 110 minute, being there, the last one to give up. And unfortunately, I didn't see that yesterday. Two things that I'm blaming on him. From now on, a new season is starting, and in that new season, Igor Tudor will be judged on a team that will be made for him. And the first answer that we can see is the one of Comolli. Probably Comolli together with Tudor and Chiellini, they go towards the first joint step. Probably we would have gone for Jonathan David regardless of the coach, because it's a name that is there circulating around Juve since really long. But that's the name. That's the name that Igor Tudor really would love to have in his team, because he has qualities that we didn't see in our team. I spoke with Carlo Pizzigoni and I asked him what are the qualities of Jonathan David. He told me it's a player with energy. And that's super important in a team that we saw it miss a bit of that energy. A player that is really able to unmark himself, to create opportunities where the opportunities are lacking. A player that is not a big fighter, right? It's not a Lautaro Martinez, for example, but it's a player that learned to play in these one-on-one duels when he's marked from a man, being able to unmark himself. So these body-to-body, he learned and improved a lot in the last few seasons. A player that improved versus close defenses, because I asked him, in Italy the defenses are not the same than in Ligue 1. Will he also be able to do well against close defenses? He said that's where he learned and improved a lot. What striker is he? He's a modern striker. I asked him also to help a bit the Juventini to start to understand what kind of player he is. He said, I will do a blasphemy, because you cannot compare him to that player. But if you want, it's a modern striker that is playing maybe like one of the idols that all that generation had, a Thierry Henry. If we want to compare it, it's not Thierry Henry, it's not the same quality, they will not join him, so pay attention. Jonathan David is not Thierry Henry, that's what he said, and probably they will cut my tongue after I said it. But it's a player, if you want to have the type of player, not the qualities, but the type of player, it could be a player a la Thierry Henry, that is able to turn, that go towards the spaces, that is able to go with his left or with his right, because he's a player that can use both of them, with a lot of strength in his legs. This is what they told me about Jonathan David, a player that Igor Tudor, for the way that he wants to play, not that he was able to play right now, but the way that he wants to play could really fit his system. There is frustration, said Comoli yesterday. We could have won, and this is the idea of all the Juventini. The good idea is that we learned on what we must work. And then he continues saying, we must again learn how to win. We must again learn to win. Bring back the club in a position to be able to win, to do it. But we want to guarantee to the Tifosi that we will do everything for it. So beautiful words for Comoli, for the people that are at the moment really in a negative idea phase. Yesterday someone told me in the live, Beppe, you will see that they will say again that our objective is minimal top 4. No, because on the 22nd of June, and I found back the articles where he said that Scanavino said this team must be competitive for the Scudetto. The team that we have today, 24-25, is that the team that is ready to fight for the Scudetto? No. Is it competitive for the Scudetto? No. But that's also why we have an open window of transfer market. We didn't do anything in that mini one. We are starting immediately, and that's why I told you the best news with Jonathan David. Here we go from Fabrizio Romano. We have a done deal by Romeo Agresti. For the people that are asking, Beppe, when? It could be that this week already. He could be in Italy, in Torino, in La Continasa for the medical test before enjoying a bit of holiday and starting from day one that new journey with Juve. It's a player that progressed a lot, you know it. It's not my favorite player. I always told you that. It's not a player that is convincing me the most. I think that he can do something at Juve, but I will continue to say it until his first day at Juve, until his first games at Juve, until he will be able to convince me that at the moment he was not my number one choice. Then if you're looking at sustainability, it's a player that is not expensive. If you're looking at the bonus on signature, apparently they agreed on 12-15 million euro, way less than what was asked before, and I can tell you that there were a lot of teams on the player, Fenerbahce, clubs from Saudi Arabia that were giving so much money. We found a deal for 5.56 million euro net. They were teams from Premier League. At the end, it's Juventus that is going, and they needed to go and rush. A decision that has been taken regardless of the situation. Dusan Vlahovic that is in the exit list, and then you need to choose who you keep. Do you keep Kolo Muani, yes or no? I tell you that today, if Juventus, they have the opportunity to go for Victor Osimhen, they will go for a Victor Osimhen plus Jonathan David. Would I do that personally, Beppe? If you are speaking about players, about qualities, absolutely yes, because Osimhen is giving you something different. He's a beast. He's a certainty. On the other side, if you are telling me, Beppe, would you be ready to put 75, 80, 90 million euro for Osimhen at 1 year of a free contract? Absolutely not, because we are a team that is in need of changing a lot of things. So Osimhen for that price, I tell you, is, according to me, a mistake. I would not actually sacrifice other roles to have an Osimhen. I would prefer to go for a Kolo Muani that yesterday, it's true, missed a huge big opportunity that could have give us the lead, but it's a player that in terms of duo with Kenan Yildiz. They understand each other. They speak football, both of them. They understand a beautiful partnership, one that is able to fight one-on-one, one that is able to go in spaces, that can play different positions, a player that maybe he's not as clinical as we would love to in front of the goal, even if he scored already a lot of goals in Serie A, in all the competitions that we played in, but a player that, according to me, is one that I would be sad if Colomoni's journeys end. Another player that Juventus, Comoli is already going for is Sancho. They are looking for opportunities. Maybe a Dusan Vlahovic swap with Manchester United. Maybe a Wea swap. Of course, different terms. Maybe even another player, Douglas Luiz, possibly to United for a Sancho. I can tell you that if you are comparing today Sancho and Conceição in terms of qualities, pure player, Sancho is a phenomenal. Sancho is a phenomenal without any doubt. A player that has so many skills, that has the qualities. He's a born qualitative player. Sancho, Yildiz behind Jonathan David is a really beautiful offensive trio. The big question mark, of course, is which Sancho will you bring to Juve? Is it the Sancho of Dortmund? Wow, fantastic. Is the Sancho of United? Total flop. Is it the Sancho of Chelsea? Then it's maybe better to keep a Conceição. The ideal thing, because they are total different players, the ideal thing would have been to have and Conceição and Sancho for the games that we have to play, for the 5 subs that we have, for the competition that we are playing in, but that will not be possible. So a choice will need to be taken there. But today, Romeo Agresti said that in the next few hours, there will be again contact for him. Another player that Comoli, because I tell you, he's reacting. He's accelerating now that he's on is Wesley from Flamengo, a player that probably is too expensive for Juve. But that gives us also an idea that Juventus, they want to accelerate not only in offensive phase, but also there in the back in defensive phase. And Wesley has been appointed as one of the possible reinforcements for Juve. Let's see what the offer will be.
Jonathan David
what
to
they
Juve.
will do. I have a double beppe because that's the video that I already recorded. In closing time, guys, I gave you a lot of news. I gave you a lot of information about Jonathan David. I told you about the season that I was not happy being eliminated. It's a tournament that I wanted to win, and it will not be possible anymore. It is what it is. Unfortunately, season 24-25 is now officially over after being eliminated in Coppa Italia against Empoli, being eliminated in semi-final of the Supercoppa in Riyadh, being eliminated in Champions League against PSV, having that 4th spot in Serie A, and being now eliminated in the round of 16. Was it a bad season? Yes, it was a bad season. We can say it without any shame. It's a Juve now in 25-26 that will need to do better, that we need to be competitive, and it will start now for the next weeks until we are back again in La Continassa on the Mercato. Management with a sporting director and a technical director, but especially players that we need, and we already started with Jonathan David. Ragazzi, if you didn't, please put a maximum of like. Don't forget to subscribe. Grazie, forza Juve.